of where we're in, but I want to hand this over to an organisation that we've partnered with now for about the last 4 years. I think this is probably one of our best sort of wellbeing projects that we do, and it's a real good example for the power of the zoos as a tool, interventional tool. So I'm going to hand it over to Joe now, who's going to introduce our Savsim and the Warriors of Hope programme.
Thank you. I've been told I've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to be really quick. My name's Joe Giordano, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Savsim. Savsim was founded 4 years ago, basically to help veterans to transition into 2 things. One was to actually help them to transition to preventing wildlife crime. So we have a team which goes around the world doing ranger training, crime scene investigation, etc. However, like Patrick has said, we realised there was a power of nature to help and support. And about 4 years ago, I came up with this idea, and I approached Andrew Terry and Grant Miller, thank you, with this idea about using the zoo to deliver animal-assisted mental health, yoga techniques, etc. programs to a group of veterans. And we've been going 4 years. We do 2 days in London and a week's residential at Whipsnade Zoo. We fundraise the whole thing ourselves. All we ask is for the veterans to come and join us for 2 weeks. Examples, feedback, you get comments like, you've saved my life, or a few weeks I was going to commit suicide. So we do make a genuine impact to people's lives. Today, I'm just going to welcome Emma, who's delivers our programme, with a guy called James Evans, who does our trim assessment. And I've also, Colonel Catherine Hughes, who's been on our course. And Kathy's going to tell you about her experience of the programme and her positivity. So I think that's my 2 minutes. Is that right, Patrick? Okay, thank you. Over to Emma.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a CBT therapist and somatic experiencing practitioner. So I work with people's nervous systems and help them recalibrate their response to stress. The program is made up of a lot of different components. Its purpose is not therapy directly. It's an opportunity to have a really good time in a really amazing environment. So we do some yoga and pranayama, some breath work. I deliver nervous system education specifically around complex PTSD, which a lot of our candidates have been diagnosed with. The zoo is an amazing place because we get to be part of not just our group, but spending time with the zookeepers is an education in itself, and it's also a lot of fun. And our candidates get a really amazing experience from that, and it's always really well received. We measure the effectiveness of this program using a number of different questionnaires. So there's some standard ones on here. We assess the severity of symptoms for post-traumatic stress disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression. We also look at a sense of purpose, and this one just before the bottom here, the neuroception of psychological safety, is a very new scale and has been developed by people that are more with the sort of somatic side of psychotherapy, so a bottom-up approach. So it's very rooted in the neurobiology of how we experience connectedness. And what we're finding is that people are experiencing a decrease in all of these things post-retreat. And after 3 months, we assess these things again. They don't stay at that same level, so they do actually increase again, but they never return to baseline, apart from on a handful of occasions, which is really interesting. So what we know is that using the zoo and doing this kind of program is we get to have this experience where people are having a longer experience of doing really well. So I'd like to hand you over to Kathy, and she's going to tell you a bit about her experience. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I understand that this is the sleepy slot, the very last one before you go and party. So thank you very much for staying awake and bearing with us. My name is Kathy Braddock Hughes. I served in the army for 21 years. I came out with complex PTSD from my time in Afghanistan, and I went through the standard procedures of going to address that, your normal procedures of getting through the therapy, of going through various medical procedures to try and cope with my PTSD. I have reached out to charities because as soon as you leave the service, then you are no longer supported by the service organisations that deal with PTSD, and you are given to the NHS. Now that's fine, but when I turn up at the doctor's with a 15-minute appointment and want to tell them about 7 months of what I went through, you don't have the time and you don't have the ability on the NHS to cope with what or process what you have seen or experienced. Obviously, we understand that there is massive pressure on the mental health services. Patrick's explained the number of cutbacks that there have been, and therefore people will fall between the paving slabs. I was very lucky because I was introduced to these guys and I had no idea about what I was coming along to see. I had no idea about what they were looking at offering me because they are trying to think outside the box. They're not looking at going through all the trauma that I've experienced, but what they're focusing on is how I feel and how I can process those feelings in the best way that I can so that I can interact with other people. That's a key thing for me because your little world, when you don't understand what's going on, you don't recognise what's going on outside, and you pull back into this little world where you kind of have threats all around you. And therefore going to see Joe and Emma and the other veterans that were on the course, and James as well, and being able to be yourself was huge. Now, I was a great advocate at the time that we had COVID lockdown of green therapy, of blue therapy, going down to the lake, going to the woods, being able to actually engage with nature. And I think that this kind of zoo therapy that we've been introduced to is on par with those areas. It's not just the way that these guys help us, it's the camaraderie, it's the opportunity to be there with the animals, up close and personal with the animals, of spending the time at Whipsnade Zoo where you are there day and night, and the bonding that allows you to make is essential for your well-being. And I think that that can be read across to anybody who you see or you support who have mental health issues. So from one person who has benefited from being here, being at Whipsnade, thank you very much to you all, because you made a difference to me.